Nioh 2 has got an open beta which is running at the moment. Jake Klukowski and Liam McKelvey are two people who have played quite a bit of it. Yeah. My name's Mike Williams. I have not played any of it. What I have done is seen PlayStation Access play a little bit of it on their YouTube thing.
The best.
Can't possibly comment. I ain't played it. So this is described as a Samurai Souls experience, which is, I guess, pretty accurate.
I would say so. I would say
that's fair, yeah.
Yeah. It's Team Ninja, Ninja Gaiden ilk, who know how to make a hard game, and they made the original hard game, and then FromSoft came out of nowhere, started making hard games, and they were like, "Yo, fuck those guys.
Yep,
let's beat them at their own
game.
game."
Beat them at their own game. So they tried to make a Souls game. Nioh was the first attempt, and it was
good.
Pretty good, I like it.
You boys loved it, didn't you? It came out 2017, I want to say.
Yeah,
I think
February
so.
2017.
Really early in the year.
It's my favourite Souls game that's not made by FromSoft.
That is some compliment. You've got to say.
You might think, well, how many is there? Quite a lot now.
There is a few, yeah.
There's quite a few pretenders. But this is good. It had a nice combat system. It was the first one that focused on breaking posture, which I noticed other sort of Souls-like samurai
which is in
games.
Sekiro,
yeah, exactly. And now they're back with a bang with Nioh 2, or are they?
So this is the open beta, which is sort of I guess you've got some time to play. It's about a week long, isn't it? So I don't know if it'll still be live when this video goes out. Okay, it's sort of an 8-9 day beta or something like that. Free to everyone on PlayStation 4, but you're going to need PS Plus if you want to play the co-op, which is an option on it, which is pretty interesting.
Which is good.
And it's about 12 gigabytes. So how have you boys been liking this one then, as fans of Nioh and Dark Souls? How's this? What were your first impressions booting this one up? Liam, what did you think, mate?
Upon immediately booting it up, I was like, well, this is Nioh again.
Yeah.
So straight away, it's very similar to the first Nioh. A lot of little changes and additions rather than more of an iteration than a big evolution of the Nioh formula.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that because Nioh got it pretty spot on, if you ask me. And first impressions were, I really liked it. I mean, I just started using one of the new weapons in it, the Switchglaive.
What is that?
It's sort of a spear and a scythe in one.
Yeah.
And an axe.
A Bloodborne trick weapon.
It looks a bit like the saw cleaver when it's not extended, and then it just turns into a big scythe. If you're in the high stance.
The saw cleaver from Bloodborne.
From Bloodborne, yeah. It's really good. Like the combat is very tight. The hitboxes are extremely precise in it. It's just like it feels very smooth. I think.
Cool.
Even compared to some of the Souls games, which have been a bit floaty at times.
Yeah, I would say
Nioh
so.
feels very, very precise.
Okay,
very cool. Yeah, I really like it. I had a good time going through the levels and just had a nice time exploring the levels. I think the map design, at least on the first level, I thought was quite nice. The second level, not so much. I wasn't a big fan of that design. But the first one, which takes place in like this Japanese fort, I really liked how it was like laid out and how the shortcuts and everything like interwove.
Yeah,
it was really good.
Yeah, Jake, you've been telling me quite a lot about this this morning. I guess this morning, today. A lot of the talk's been about the bosses and stuff. Tell me about that.
Okay, because so I played the version of Nioh 2 which the public haven't played before, which it had a different boss entirely.
All right.
And this boss was like this dude who had like a horse's head. It was like some horse demon thing, a bit like an ogre but with the head of a horse. And
Your classic Souls.
Yeah, exactly. Swinging around.
Bit of Japanese mythology mixed in
that's
there.
the thing. That's how they get away with it. All of these are real Japanese yokai, right? So I say real, you know what I mean? Known Japanese yokai. It's what happens if you go to Tokyo, isn't it? So I played the build that I had played previously was a little bit easier than the one for now, and the boss had this like beast mode that he went into. That wasn't a horse pun or anything. It's just like halfway through, you know, like how most Souls bosses have a second stage. Well, he went through this like weird stage where he had like this. He basically took me to the Shadow Realm, and my key which is stamina, getting sapped dead fast, and I was basically like just trying to survive until it went back to the normal mode again. And I thought that was a really cool gimmick for that boss. Anyway, now roll into the open beta, which is what this is about. You fight two more main bosses. The first one is like this kind of weasel, pine marten, ferret kind of demon, a bit like Naga Kuga from Monster Hunter. In fact, it's like pretty much identical to that.
The arena looks pretty Monster Hunter-y as well.
Yeah,
even.
it's this like
wooded area
with loads of trees and
some nice leaves falling down.
Exactly, and it's like this scythe-tailed pine marten. It spins around, cartwheels at you at high speeds, and then I noticed that it had that same weird gimmick that this horse boss has from the version that I'd played before. And then the second boss is like a snake who has arms made out of snakes, who can shoot out more snakes. A bit like the Shadow Yarnon vibe with all these snaky things going around. And I had that demon. So like the boss battles on this feel like, on the beta compared to the version I played previously, feel bloated. They feel like their HP's been tanked. Like the damage that you do doesn't really seem, not fair, but substantial. And I don't know if this is like some sort of like IQ play where it's like you need to go for the weaknesses, and if you imbue your weapon with fire, then maybe you'll do more damage. Or I'm using a spear, for example, but I found like I tried to change my stances up, it didn't really do much of a different job. And then I was using my Yokai abilities, which have been added on since the first game, which are like your sort of your special moves kind of thing.
Yeah.
You've got like a full on limit break mode, which you can change, like you can have one of 3, and then you've got like these different moves that you can collect from killing enemies and collecting their soul cores, which kind of gives you like this sort of I don't know, it's like from what I know, like most monsters in the beta have a soul core that you can use, and then you can steal their moves. Basically, there's a giant ape, and you can jump up into the air and fling the spear down at high speeds. There's the one I had was like I killed this monster, it was like Slimer from Ghostbusters but crawling on his hands, and I think it's called like a Wafai or something like that, and you could then burrow underground like a little diglet, and then pop up and damage. There's loads of different moves you could do, but I found like they were effective against the bosses. But otherwise, like this beta feels like they're mid-game missions that have been balanced for level 1 characters, but they haven't quite got the balance right. Like it just feels a bit off. Like again, compared to the version I'd played before, which felt like absolutely spot on, this feels like bloated and a bit awkward. It's a bit of a Dark Souls 2 vibe where it just feels like they've just like balanced it and then gone right, and then we'll just have a little bit more difficulty. So it feels a bit meh. And this isn't, you know, I'm not like blinded by rage. It's not like I can't beat the bosses and I've done it or whatever, because I've done it. But it's like something about it feels a bit of a chore, to be honest, compared to the rest of the map. Like Liam was saying, he like going around the map, and I agree. Like the map is great, but the enemies feel fine, and then the bosses just feel off. You find the same, Liam? Or?
Yeah, so like as I said, I really do enjoy it just from this beta alone. But my only real complaint about it is the boss fights. Is just something doesn't feel quite right about them. So the first boss, this like weasel thing, I was like, you know, I attempted it a few times, and I was like, all right, you know, he's kicking my ass, I'll go through the level again, get some not souls, Amrita, and I'll level up a few times. And so I did. I think I leveled up like 3 or 4 times, and I was like, right, let's go attempt this boss again. But my attacks were doing the exact same amount of damage.
And when you leveled up, I guess you put your stats into damage.
Yeah, and I was putting my points into, because for some reason the switch glaive is tied to your magic stat.
Okay.
And so I leveled up my magic. But yeah, it felt like nothing was having an effect on these bosses. And
like it was scaled maybe or something.
Like it was scaled, yeah. And I had the exact same thing when I fought the snake boss in the second level they let you do. And yeah, it was just like, these bosses, just like, something was, like you said, it wasn't like rage-inducing hard like Sekiro bosses or anything. Yeah, something just felt a bit spongy about them.
Yeah.
And no matter, the snake boss in particular, he had this like attack where he would wrap around you like a snake does.
Yeah.
And just like he'd impale you through the head. And
snakes don't do that.
Well, snakes don't do that. They do when they have big spikes on their head.
They would if they could, mate. All right.
And yeah, like whenever on this attack, like I knew when he was gonna do it, but I couldn't consistently dodge it, and I never figured out how to consistently dodge it. I did eventually beat him. At this point, I kept putting loads of points into my health and my ki.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, so if I increase my health, because he kept one-shotting me with this attack.
Yeah.
Even after I upped my ki and my health, he was still one-shotting me. I could see the damage numbers were lower.
Yeah.
But he was still managing to kill me in one shot.
Do you think that is a beta-specific phenomenon that probably might not show up in the game because of the theory that you guys just put out there, that maybe it's a mid-game level that they've balanced?
Yeah. Like, again, the version that I played of it didn't feel the same.
Yeah.
It felt more balanced.
Okay.
So unless that boss was just like a total piece of shit,
or they made it easier for a trade show or whatever.
Exactly. I can't tell if they've made it easier, or if they're making us beat a boss battle harder. So,
okay.
You know, but it felt like the easier one. And when I say easier, this again, like, you know, it's not like we haven't done all the Souls games and Sekiro and all that. Like, I know what the balance kind of. And Nioh 1, that's another thing. You know, like, I know what it should feel like. It's just something about it feels a bit cheap. It feels a bit cheap, but I'm loving it. I am actually liking it. The boss fights are like one thing, but I love the maps. I love that it's level based because I'm all for the idea that Souls games have got this whole big sprawling world and everything loops back and it's really cool. And
yada yada yada.
We get it. Yeah. We've seen a Metroidvania before, but it's really really cool that games do that. But I love the fact that this is broken up into levels and it's just like, that scenario's done, boom, and then you just jump to the next one.
I have to say as well, Nioh 2, you can actually pause it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a pause function.
A rare little
pioneering. Yeah, it's true though. It's so in a boss fight, then you could just have a breather. You could be like
if it's overwhelming you, just like, I need to take a break, catch my breath, compose myself, go back.
Pause the game to breathe is good, isn't it? This is. They've added a lot, more than just a pause button, but the pause button is there, and that is a feature. But they've added like new weapons. I'm playing with a spear, which is what I played when I played the first one, and the moveset is identical. Like the weapon unlocks are they seem more elaborate than the first one. Maybe you'll see it on the screen here, maybe you won't, but it's like the Blitzball thing from Final Fantasy X, like this big sprawling sphere grid. I used a bit of the ninjutsu, a bit of the Omnio magic thing, and everything seems deeper. Everything seems deeper. So it's like they've just added more complication to the system already.
Yeah,
it's still
more systems on top of systems, and Nioh already had a lot of systems in it.
Yeah, and I can't tell if I'm only okay with it because I've finished Nioh and I've got to grips with it. I can't tell how overwhelming this would be for a new player or what, which might be of detriment because if you're making something complicated for the sake of it. But it doesn't feel like it's too much. Yeah. It feels like it's still like you've still got the stances, but now you've got all these like random special abilities that you can do. And
it's an interesting thought there. Like, I wonder how many people played Dark Souls 2 but didn't play Dark Souls 1. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like you would have played the first one by the time the second one's come out if you're interested in it.
Thinking that every single person making the game will be thinking, right? Well, of course they played the first one, but it's the truth, isn't it? People will just jump in. Metal Gear Solid 5, for example. You know what I mean? And it's like when it comes to this seems like they're adding depth. But does the depth make it more complicated? I can't tell. I haven't got like a real view on that because I feel like I've played the first one so much that I'm used to it. So I don't know if that'll turn off new players. But I mean, if
you're a new player, why not play the first one in that case though? Because you guys obviously. You rate it. There's plenty of time until this.
Here's another thing. So you
comes
were
out.
saying this is free on PlayStation. If you've got PlayStation Plus, you can play the beta together. But if you've got PlayStation Plus, Nioh is free on that at the moment as well. It's out on PC as well. Probably looks and runs better on PC, to be honest. But yeah, it is on PS Plus right now, and it will be for the rest of November. But it's wicked. There's a boss that's kind of the separator. Like there's a woman in a cave. Enma. If you can get past her, then nice one. Welcome to the club.
I don't think I even reached there, to be honest.
Welcome to the club. That's the one, isn't it? Yeah. That's kind of like the Bloodstaff beast of the game, like.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. It's a day one buy for me,
Very cool. So that's what the boys thought of Nioh 2. If you've been playing the open beta, let us know what you think about it in the comments. If you're a Nioh fan as well, generally, just tell us what you think about the series, because Jake and Liam here seem to think it's the best non-Souls game there is. So let us know what you think about that. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. See you soon and all that. Bye.